Hi there, I'm Will of the People, and this is a message for the Iranian people engaged in a struggle for their freedom against a government run by tyrants. The message I want to convey to you is the most powerful idea and method for inspiring over 90% of the people to rise to secure your freedom. And it's guaranteed to work. Now, the power of this idea and method is so enormous that it transcends any ideology or belief system. I'm going to cover this idea in 3 points, and I'll punctuate it at the end with a quote from Albert Einstein. Point 1 is that everyone in the world wants to be free. Nobody likes being subjected to tyranny and cruelty. Number 2 is that it's possible to wake up anyone in 3 minutes by simply asking them the right questions, causing them to think and to wake up. And point 3 is that after you wake them up, it's essential to give them a physical reminder. This is very important because people forget what they hear from conversations, just like when they walk away from a computer, they forget what they see on their computer screen. So remember that. They must be given a physical reminder. Now, this is the method that was used by the American colonists to launch the American Revolution. And they woke up 95% of the people and inspired them to rise to launch the American Revolution in 6 months. And they did it by word of mouth, giving them physical reminders, and woke up 2.5 million people living scattered over a land area of 360,000 square miles. So this works. Now the questions are these. First, and do them in this order. The first question is, what is your definition of freedom in 1 sentence? Most people, believe it or not, struggle to answer that question. And if a person cannot define freedom, then they don't know what it is, and they sure as heck aren't going to be able to secure it. The second question is, how do you secure your freedom? Now, obviously, that question is more difficult for people to answer than the first. In fact, I've never seen anybody or met anyone who could answer that question unless they've read the book I'm holding in my hand. Now, these 2 questions compel people to think, and nothing is more important to people than being free. And when they realize they have difficulty defining freedom and don't know how to secure it, then what happens is they have a burning desire to know. Now the third question is to ask them this: which do you prefer? A, voting for politicians, or B, voting on the issues? About 95% of the people will say the issues. And of the few who might say politician, all you have to do is ask them if they've ever looked up the definition of politician in a dictionary. And virtually no one ever has. But the definition of a politician is a person who leads by guile and deception. And when you point that out to them, they immediately realize the stupidity of trusting politicians. Now, the fourth question is the clincher, and that is, would you like your right to consent to any proposed laws or any laws enacted and enforced against you? over 90% of the people, in fact about 94% of the people or more, will say yes. Freedom can only be secured by our right to consent in any relationship. And this applies to personal, private, or public relationships. In our relationships with our governments, we are only free when we can secure our freedom by our right to consent to any proposed laws or any laws enacted and enforced against us. This is the key to freedom and governing by the consent of the governed. Now, like I said, this is the method that the American colonists used to wake up the people to launch the American Revolution. Now, it's also important to realize that every revolution in history has been hijacked. Yours has been, and even the American Revolution has been hijacked. No government in the world exists under any nation where the people are free and can secure their freedom by their right to consent to the laws they live by. You are at the brink of being able to amend your system of governing to create the first. The closest anyone's ever come to such a government are the Native Americans who were slaughtered by the Europeans who came to the North American and South American continents. Now, the quote that I promised to tell you from Albert Einstein is this. Albert Einstein made the observation that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Voting for politicians is insane, because politicians and judges have hijacked every revolution in history, and they've destroyed every nation in history and projected tyranny and cruelty on their people. So the key to freedom, you now know, is life, liberty, and happiness secured by our right to consent to the laws we live by. If you like these ideas, I'm only talking about ideas in one chapter in this little book I'm holding in my hand that will fit in a shirt pocket, and you can read it in less than an hour. A lot of people read this book 2 or 3 times, even more. The ideas in it are that powerful. Now, if you'd like to learn more, you can by going to the website RIGHTtoCONSENT.com. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, including interviews of people with those questions, then click on the Right to Consent link on your computer screen. I'm Will of the People, and I approve this message, and I bet you do too.